Hello and welcome to Allotment Gardening 2012 on this dank, dismal October the 12th day 2012. Someone asked me about dealing with clay soil. The back half of my allotment, my growing plot, is built on an old stream that's now culverted. It still occasionally floods, as it has several times during this summer. The wettest in 100 years in England and Wales since 1912. But the raised beds and treating the soil has not really affected my crops too much. Clay soil means that the soil stays like bricks, like this when you dig it up. It doesn't allow air holes within the soil to allow nutrients to get to the roots, so growth is inhibited. Often tends to be acidic as well, as my soil is. Now if you want to do things perfectly correctly, go and spend a fortune and send your soil for laboratory analysis for humus content and alkalinity or acidity. Fine. Little giveaways of acidity, for instance, with my soil, are the fact there's creeping buttercup, it comes out like bricks when it's untreated, there's dock, and without a great deal of extra help, my blueberry bushes and heather does very well without a great deal adding to it. Improving the soil comes in three ways: physical, chemical and additives. The first thing is a raised bed, a formal raised bed, rather than just raising the soil in a mound. It does work, but you tend to incorporate all your goodies back into the past when you're redigging. A formal raised bed like this means gravity can work on the soil. Secondly, do it in the autumn ideally, such as now, means there's time for frost to act. After I've put in a bed like this, I would then add lime. I use hydrated lime. As long as you don't breathe a load in, you're careful it's not a windy day and you don't get too much of it on your hands, it tends to dry it out, then that affects the cation exchange. Basically it releases nice things like magnesium, calcium and other small micronutrients into the soil. It also helps flocculate the soil, makes the soil into particulate matter, crumbly, the exact opposite of clay soil. At the same time, I would add a bag of sharp sand, which is not very expensive, such as this, to a bed like this. I would leave it on the top with the lime and let the worms and nature and frost do its job. After Christmas, I would then perhaps add 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, as much as you can I suppose, of compost, be it your own or bought. Again leave it and then start to mix it in from February onwards. When you have put in the bed, remember, don't dig too deeply to start digging up the subsoil, which isn't particularly fertile, but dig deep enough, ideally 2 spits, double digging, to allow for drainage underneath. Thereafter I don't double dig. I only cultivate the top 6 inches in the first year or so, or 8 inches. There's no point in putting all your goodness down further because the roots don't go there anyway for most veg. By the time it comes to the second year and you're topping it up with compost and other things, then fine, dig a little deeper. And doing it in the autumn means the worms do the job for you. This bed here I've started to add a bit more sand to. I've found at the end of the summer it was still sticking together a little bit too much, so I've added some sand and I've added some compost. I haven't added lime because it's already had 2 goes. One from when the bed first came in last year, and second in the spring because I used it for brassicas. At the end of year 1, so this bed went in last autumn, you're starting to get that pretty crumbly texture. That's had its second dose of compost. And over there's a year 4 bed, and that's almost looks like topsoil. I know you could say what I'm doing is effectively replacing the soil on top of the clay. Yeah, possibly, but what you will find is the worms do take it down deeper, even without you digging it in. That's how I deal with clay soil. So raised beds, lime it, add compost, but not at the same time, otherwise you'll get ammonia off and waste the goodies in your compost. and see how it goes thereafter in the following year. If you can, you'll notice there's some leaves here, but they're not added by me, they're added by nature. If you can add leaf mould or just old leaves on the top to the bed, and then start turning that over in January to bury them, remember they break down by anaerobic respiration, so they don't need any oxygen. That really does help add fibre or friability or structure to make it crumbly, as well as all the other things. By the end of year 1, as mentioned, you should have something reasonable like this. And doing it at this time of year, nature does most of it for you. That's all for now. Take care.